Hi, my name is Hannah Conklin, and I am currently a second grade teacher. I will be presenting research and details that I have found over the course of this semester on various strategies to enhance instruction, focusing on assessment, cognitive strategies, explicit instruction, and promoting active student engagement. Teachers do the best that they can day in and out to provide the best education possible for their students. However, it can be challenging and seem impossible to teach a room full of academically diverse students with various demands. Often, experts will give teachers strategies to differentiate and support diverse learners that are hard to implement for various factors, such as time, staffing, and money. It can leave many teachers feeling like the picture shown, stressed and hopeless. This semester, I set out to find research and more information about doable strategies to enhance instruction for academically diverse learners. I'm a second grade self-contained teacher in a low socioeconomic school district. For the purposes of the research conducted this semester, I focused on my language arts instruction, specifically regarding phonics instruction. My class is made up of 17 learners who are academically similar, 15 students are at risk or identified with a disability, and 2 are average learners. 4 students are identified with a specific learning disability in reading, and 4 students are identified with a speech disorder. My entire class struggles with identifying and using phonetic patterns in their daily reading. During explicit phonics instruction, they can perform tasks to show that they understand the phonetic patterns and how to manipulate words. However, when it comes to generalizing the phonetic patterns and rules, they cannot perform at grade level. My first teacher recommendation is in regard to assessment. I use various assessment strategies for my learners to determine their mastery of phonics patterns, such as using independent centers. I use centers to assess independent learning through tasks that revolve around a specific skill. I also use dictation. Through a phonics and reading program called ECRI, my students explicitly learn phonetic patterns and word decoding skills. After they have worked through the explicit teaching, they must perform what they understood by writing the words with the spelling patterns that we were working on for that lesson through dictation. Another assessment that I use in ECRI is using our decodable readers. The decodable readers assess the generalization of the phonetic patterns. We begin this formative assessment by tap reading, where I tap and students read at my pace, and then determine student success by listening to the students whisper read the passage. The last assessment strategy that I found this semester, it's a new strategy called phonemic awareness warm-ups. Noted by the star on the slide that I would like to adopt for phonics instruction. This practice is something I found through a teacher blog, and basically what this teacher did was she turned explicit phonics instruction into game-like activities. Some of it was manipulative, but some of the guides she included would make awesome assessment pieces. Students could work on the activity for morning work, and the teacher could do a quick check before instruction to see who is on the right track versus to see who is still struggling. My next teacher recommendation is using a cognitive strategy. Based on my review of the literature available for cognitive strategies in reading instruction, I located the intervention See, Talk, Dictate, Read, Write, which is an intervention that uses child-centered reading strategies like talking, dictating, and writing as the focus. The reason that this method is called child-centered is because the students play an active role throughout each stage of the intervention. This intervention helps students build the ability to create meaning and comprehension without reading anything. It allows students to use their background knowledge, context clues, and prior knowledge to create meaning. The authors argue that this methodology works because students who lack basic fluency do not have the chance to practice making meaning often. In this intervention, students create their own story. When the teacher dictates that, the student is then able to practice reading those sentences for the first time, while also developing basic phonological awareness when they write the words. This would be a great intervention for children who are struggling with phonics but are still able to build comprehension. My next teacher recommendation is for explicit instruction. Explicit instruction is teaching students directly about a topic, allowing for student practice with the teacher and without. My research outlined several effective teaching behaviors that elicit explicit instruction that were seamlessly added to an already developed routine. Implementation of these teaching behaviors would be dependent upon the lessons and routines that individual teachers have. However, it could be used in all early childhood classrooms to facilitate the development of focused comprehension skills. A few examples of the teaching behaviors in action are building background knowledge by showing pictures of a new concept and allowing students to make connections in their world, or after discussing a skill like labeling, allowing students to independently label something that connects to content being taught. The key meaning focused skills are identified by the authors as oral language and vocabulary, narrative skill, emergent writing, background knowledge, and higher level reasoning skills. My next teacher recommendation is for promoting active student engagement. The research that I found for promoting student engagement describes interest-based instruction as integral to students' academic success. The authors of the article that I found outline a few broad teaching actions demonstrated by one teacher that promote student interest. The teaching actions described are approaching curricular planning intentionally, contextualizing learning, building relevance and value, and incorporating inquiry and project-based learning. Approaching curricular planning intentionally is needed for many types of lessons, but when planning for student interest, it is essential. The authors describe how simple changes in the structure of lessons can make a big difference in student engagement. Contextualizing learning is also an essential component of interest-based instruction. Teachers can make an active effort to help students connect their learning with interests that they already have, or to see themselves in the characters being presented in the reading. For example, if a teacher can intentionally plan text to incorporate a variety of texts to allow students to see themselves in their culture, they will be more interested and engaged. Implementing interest-based instruction is not necessarily a one-size-fits-all. It is a set of strategies that can be used across the board to help students have an active interest and motivation to persist and learn about challenging content. As much as I liked and could see myself using each of the strategies that I found outlined in the research this semester, there are a few limitations that I could see with all of these strategies. As with anything teachers are faced with, time can be a barrier. Time is necessary to plan and implement even the simplest of strategies. I also think a lack of supplemental staff could deter the effectiveness. Having additional support could make or break some of these strategies. I did notice a gap in some of the research for learners who are struggling after first grade. A lot of my research focused on younger learners. However, what about the learners who are developing reading skills later? I would have liked to see research geared for students who could still develop appropriate reading skills later into their academic career. Although the strategies presented are not a cure-all for the hard work that it takes to teach academically diverse learners, I think they could help teachers feel less stressed and more prepared to tackle their tough jobs. Here are my references. Thank you for watching and listening to the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it.